Today we're going to do, just create a little function called last login. One of the things I do is I build a lot of little projects. So what I do is I create these little projects and I name them appropriately and store them in a directory. So later when I'm building something big, I need a tool out of my toolbox. I go and I grab one of these components. Today we're going to build one of those. It's called last login. It's real simple functionality, but so yeah, let's do Laravel new. Let's call it last login. We'll do the Breeze starter kit because we need some authentication. We'll do Livewire with the class API. I don't need dark support. We'll click through these real quick. We'll create a repository for you, and it's going to build a project. For those of you who are new to Laravel, this has come a long ways. A lot of this used to have to be done at the command line individually, so thanks to Laravel prompts, and there's a back-end JavaScript compiler component called Vite that you'll see running as you create a project. Again, all this stuff used to be manual, so it's becoming a 1- and 2-click type system. I kind of feel like Taylor is doing what Microsoft claimed to do in the 90s, except in their stuff was all kludgy and crashed and had a lot of issues with it. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that or old enough in general, but the old DLL libraries and the registry and all that, it was a real nightmare. I kind of steered clear of the Microsoft environment because of that. I've always stayed Unix. Back then I used to write Perl and Perl CGI because that's all there was back then. But Taylor and the crew have been doing a great job. They've made this really painless and be able to build stuff and have fun. I mean, sometimes you get to building something and it becomes a nightmare. Well, they've taken a lot of that out of, a lot of the headaches out of it, and it's really nice. So give those guys a hand. So all right, building. Then we're going to speed this up. You don't need to sit through this. Okay, this is the Vite part. It's basically compiles all your JavaScript components. There we go. And we'll cd into last login directory to have a look at the files. So there's the framework. Basically built everything for you. Let's go over and take a look at the website. Let's go take a look at the front end. All right, here's the code in VS Code. Here's the whole project. Here's the site. I'm using Laravel herd, so it's the project name .test. So that's why it's running locally. Let's go register a new user. Again, this is Laravel Breeze. Comes as one of the starter packages that come with the install, so you get authentication. That's the dashboard. Let's go down to the code here. This is the actual dashboard where we're going to put our Laravel component. So let's make the Livewire component. So we'll go PHP artisan make Livewire, and we'll call it last login. So it creates two files. It creates a Livewire, the backend component, and a blade component. So up here is the backend. It's in the Livewire directory for the backend. And then this is the blade component. It's very similar to the way traditional blade files work with a controller. It's just it's a Livewire component. It has a lot of different features to it, but it functions very similar. So there, we're just going to put something in the blade. Let's come down to this dashboard, and then we'll plug the Livewire component in here. So you just do Livewire and then the name of the component. If you have it in subdirectories, you have to put the subdirectory dot whatever the file name is. So pretty straightforward. It's kind of like slots. So there it is. This is where the users show up. So it's reading that text that I just wrote into the Livewire component, bringing it into that dashboard blade file, and displaying the Livewire component. Let's go put some lipstick on this thing. I know Taylor hired a new design guy, and we're not supposed to say the word pretty. So let's just make it sexy. Let's find some good components that look nice, some nice components. So this is Tailwind. They have a lot of great components in here. If you're going to do this type of development, I do suggest you support these guys. You just run over there and grab some snippet of code. We're going to come back here and paste it in. It'll definitely save you time. And it looks nice. They do a really good job. Snippet right in there. Now that's our blade component. And it's going to get read by that dashboard blade. And then it's going to read this. So we'll do a little quick refresh here. Oh, there it is, but it doesn't look right. And one of the things you need to do is run npm dev. So our JavaScript files are not all compiled and running right now. So let's go down here and do npm run dev. There we go. That's the way it's supposed to look. So all the Tailwind is working now, so you get the right spacing, all the little attributes that are in Tailwind. So there you go. It doesn't look pretty. It's sexy. All right, let's go. What do we need to do next? You know, we need to listen to an event. And I was thinking of creating an event, but I realized in Laravel there's a login event already. It's down here in the vendor directory. We just drill down in here, go into the source, underneath authorization, events, there's a login event. So what we're going to do is we're going to listen for that event. I was going to create one, but then I was like, wait a second, there's already one here. So all we need to do is create a listener that when this event fires, the listener will catch it, and we can do what we need to do. Let's make a listener. PHP artisan make listener. Let's call it login listener. There we go. If we scroll up to the directory, you can see underneath the apps, there's a new directory called listeners, and there's our login listener. And in the listener, we're going to need to include that event. So let's use illuminate auth, what is it? And we're also going to access the user table. So let's do app models user. Okay, so in the handle, we're listening to the login event, so we'll add that here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to update the user table. We're going to add some fields to it in a minute, but let's put the updates to it right here. So say user, where, we need to get the user ID. We'll get that from the event user.id. And then we need to update. So there's a couple fields we're going to add to the user table. We're going to do the last login. We'll set that to now. And then let's throw the IP address in there because a lot of times that's used for security reasons. So last login IP. So last login last login IP address, and we're going to get that from the request. So request IP. There we go. All right. So that's our listener. So when the event fires, this is going to happen based on the listener. All right, let's go update the user table. We need to add a couple columns here. We're going to add last login. Let's put a timestamp. We'll make that nullable. Let's put in the last login, or let's do a string. We'll call it last login IP for the IP address. And that's nullable as well. And just to make it look like the front end, we need to put a role. We need to add a photo and a role to make that front end look correctly. So let's do a profile photo, and basically that'll be nullable as well. And then we need to add a role. So in the front end there, the users had a role, you know, CTO, CFO, that type of thing. So, and all these are nullable because they're just optional fields that aren't added initially. All right. So now when in our listener fires, we can make that update to that table. Let's go look at the database. So this is a SQLite database. So it's a file. We'll choose SQLite. Down here we'll choose the actual file, give it a name, call it last login, and then we'll go find the file, and it's underneath the database directory in our project. So there we go. Go underneath database, SQLite. There we go. We open the file. There we go. There's our user structure, our last login, IP address, profile photo, the role. All right, let's go to the Livewire component, and we'll pull the data from the user table so we can display it on the front end. So first of all, we're going to need the users model. So let's include that up here at the top. We need a variable. Let's call it users. This is going to contain all the users that we pass to the front end. It becomes a public variable for Livewire. And then down here, we're just going to do users, users model, real simple, all. Okay, let's go to the front end. Underneath resources, Livewire. It's called last login. All right, all this great markup that we got from Tailwind, we're going to strip it down. We want to loop through those users that we pull in from the database. So we'll do a for each users as user. And we're going to loop through each one of these list items, which comes out to be a row in the table. Or it's not a table, it's a row in the list. Looks like a table. In this for each, we're going to go user name. We'll go user email. Right down the line. So for each one of those users out of that collection of users, we're going to populate the field, and it's going to loop through and create this number of, it's an unordered list with list items, but it basically looks like a table on the front end. We refreshed the database and seeded it. So let's create a new user, tester. There we go, we're logged in. Oh, looks like we're missing one element over on the right. We're getting the profile picture, the name, the email, and the last seen date in the long form, but we're missing the role. We have to go see what the problem is there. Oh, we misspelled role. There we go. Fix that. There we go. Now we're getting everything. We need to format the date. We'll do a Carbon instance, what's called diffForhumans. So what you need to do is use Carbon, parse, and then at the end of it we're going to put diffForhumans, and that will format it correctly for the front end. So there we go. Again, all we did, we modified the user table, we created a listener which listens to an event on an existing, there's the listener, and all we're doing is updating the user table. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and have a good day. Take care.